watching Prime Morning. It's time for us to delve into what the newspapers have. And of course, the newspapers are reporting a lot. Let's get interactive. Do send in your messages to us. You can either send it to Facebook or to our WhatsApp line, and we will definitely read it. So please, let's get as interactive as possible. Ghana is for us. It's for you and I. And so let's be a part of it. Let's be citizens and not spectators. I'll start with a Chronicle newspaper. Then I'll introduce my guest to you, and then when I introduce my guest to you, I'll delve into our topics as well. So the very first newspaper I'm starting with is the Chronicle newspaper. Sale of UN slots to soldiers for $8,000 is hearsay. Full investigation underway. Military High Command says so. Well, as for the military, they will investigate, and so if it becomes true, then of course, heads will definitely roll. Civil servant allegedly steals 287,000 Ghana cedis from ADB. Female genital mutilation is not Islamic. Sheikh Ustaz Wise, I hope I got the name right, because sometimes so pardon me with that one, please. Says so. Foreign Minister enraged over illegal fees at passport office. Now, yesterday we did post a question on our social media portals asking how much or what's the highest you've had to pay for your passport, and people were actually mentioning figures. Some were mentioning 5,000, 3,000, 1,500 cedis. Yet when you go to the place, you pay only 150 Ghana cedis. So people are extorting monies from people, using it as business. Some will even tell you that they'll get you your passport within 2 days. And after you pay that, it takes you probably 4 or 5 weeks, and you still don't have your passport. And they'll give you excuses because they've already taken the money. Well, let's get to interactive. How much have you had to pay for your passport? What was the service like? What happened? Did you receive the passport within the 2 working days that you were promised? Or you actually had to wait and go through the normal process? Let's get interactive, as I said again. All right, so the Chronicle newspaper, let's see if we have something here. Yes, some entertainment. Stay away from politics. Kojo Nkansa discloses what Mahama told him. My breakup with Shatawale is divine, says Michi. I possess the capabilities of 5 different artists in one. EL discloses why he doesn't beef. Afro Nation has not been taken away from Ghana. Minister of Tourism says so. Now, yesterday, again, I think social media, people were, alleging that it's going to Nigeria. I don't know how true this is, but that's what they're saying, that it's going to Nigeria. If it goes to Nigeria, then Ghana, forget it. Christian Achu's name will never go away, says his partner, Marie-Claire Rupio. And that will be all for the Chronicle newspaper. I'll delve into the Republic Press. Rot at passport office, Ayoko Boche goes wild. Police tops the bribery league again. Wow. We thought they had gone down. So what happened? Well. Deputy Railway Minister makes U-turn, says he was not disrespected by Dr. Bawumia, and of course we'll discuss that as well. So today, this morning, we'll be discussing the rot at passport office. We'll be discussing Deputy Railway Minister saying that he never said that Dr. Bawumia disrespected him. We'll discuss all of that when it's time for us to delve into our topics. Some stories in here as well. 50K for infant blood as galamseyers allegedly use babies to enhance gold yield. Whoa. So they buy the babies for 50,000 Ghana cedis, and they kill the babies as a sacrifice so that the earth can provide gold for them. Wow, is this where galamsey has gotten to? Anyway, BOG is not above the law. Atufose replies Oseche Mensa Bozu. Aboboyas are still plying major highways in Accra and reported fumes, and it's true, I even met one this morning. GUM will protest if Nanado sends Ghanaian soldiers to Niger, or Sofotri Abosom has spoken. John Dumelo urges government to decentralize passport acquisition to tackle Goro boys and refrain from threatening striking CTAG members, minority to government. And that will be it for the Republic Press newspaper. I'll do the ABC newspaper next. The ABC newspaper, Dokwa runs away from Ekwapim North. And we know that now Ekwapim North The seat is being contested by some others, plus the NLA boss, that's Asami Awuku, and it looks like Dokua, who is the current MP for that area, might not be running for the seat. It's not yet confirmed, but she might not be running for that particular seat, as it seems people claim that Samia Awuku is too tough to compete with. Don't trust Mohammed's tax waiver promise. Abronye fires back. YEA launches youth in garment and textiles model to bridge skills gap. And let's see some stories in here as well. Okay. Is this really a future? All right, there's a question here. The scourge of cyberbullying on social media. Well, if you've ever been bullied on social media, you understand this and you know why you need to read it. Silence and suffering the ongoing crisis of abuse against women. That'll be all for the ABC newspaper. The Daily Graphic newspaper. Revolutionizing education system, ICC key in STEM, says a ministry. Galamsey divorce Asarikrom. Okay, I hope I got it right. Asarikrom, community deity not spared. Don't send troops to Niger, Presby Church says so. Greater Accra intensifies ban on tricycles. And the tricycles, these are boboyas. Will they ever go anywhere? Because that's somebody's business. And if you try to do anything about it, they'll come for you. But is it also possible that we create a section of our roads for them? Because it looks like they've come to stay whether we like it or not. Getting them off the roads will not be an easy thing. You know, we tried to fight Okada. It didn't work. And so fighting Aboboya, I don't know if it'll work. But probably if we should create, a portion of the road for them so that they ply on that road, probably we'll be able to control it. So controlling it and not cleaning them out of the system completely might help a bit. Wisconsin University to offer scholarship to journalists. SOCO, the SOCO project, will promote cohesion, equitable development. Damboche says so. And Cyber Security Authority to enforce licensing regime October 1st. We do the back page. New mini hospital for Eyinase, and the hospital is actually beautiful. An artist's impression of the $2.1 million mini Eyinase hospital, and you see a picture of that. So the proposed amount to be used on this is $2.1 million. Fludo, Vision Spring donates free eyeglasses to cocoa farmers. And that will be all for the Daily Graphic newspaper. The Daily Guide newspaper, tricycles banned in Accra business districts. Police, immigration, GRA, top corruption reports. Hey, wow, again. So the police, immigration, and GRA, top corruption reports. Baby thief escapes death. Energy Ministry secretary in court for stealing 287,000 Ghana cedis. And Ayoko shakes passport office. I wonder what is happening at the passport office this morning, because I don't know. AfriNation still under discussion, says Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed Awal, who is the Minister for Tourism. I don't have an ex-boyfriend. Diana Hamilton says so. Okay. All right. Bobrisky loses dad. All right. Let's do some business stories here as well. Import trade deficits hit 4.5 billion in 2022, which we'll discuss that as well, a little bit of that as well. Petrol diesel to increase by 5.7%, and Vodafone hosts 100 girls. Some sports here. Ex-Kotoko defender drags TP Mazembe to FIFA. Boys Brigade hosts Global Fellowship GM. Officials to miss games over Onana error. And Spain reach first WWC final. We'll do the Finder newspaper. Tourism to be #1 contributor to GDP and create 150,000 jobs each year, says Dr. Awal. YEA shortlist 2,000 from 15,000 applicants for garment textile model. Media should highlight opportunities in tourism, arts and culture, says Oponkroma. And GRA reports a 92.4% increase in VAT in 5 months of 2023. I'll do the New Crusading Guide, which happens to be our final newspaper. The New Crusading Guide. Pragya Aboboya banned in main Accra streets. New Age Agric Solutions unveils hybrid maize seeds, says Champion Sharp is game changer. CSR to mark 10 years of creating value for business and society. Call the CID boss to order property owners appeal to IGP, and Gomoafete chiefs fight Church of Pentecost for disrespecting their chief. That will be all for what the newspapers are reporting. My first guest is seated, Adele Umar Ibrahim, who is representing the NDC. Good morning, Adele.
Good morning, Jose.
How are you this morning?
I'm good.
Great.
I'm good.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you. It's good to see you again last weekend.
Well, you know that there's been some trending. The biggest trending issue is to do with the passport office, where we know that currently our Minister for Foreign Affairs, that's Shelia Yakubochi, has spoken about it, the rot in the passport office. She's even saying that those who have been there for a year or more must be changed for others to come on board because the rot is too much. And I know you know about the story, so I'll take your opinion on it.
Rosalind, first off, let me say a warm good morning to His Excellency the former President John Dramani Mahama. Let me also extend greetings to the national executives of the NDC in Parliament for all the good work, our national communication and Sami Jenfi for all the good work they're doing for the party. Rosalind, the issues that has to do with our institutions are one that is very worrying. You have to understand that it is not just the passport office. It is the same thing when you go to DVLA. But there's been
a shake-up in DVLA in recent times.
Yeah, there has.
Yeah.
You know, there is this thing that they call Guru boys, pretty much. I remember some time back what happened with DVLA, you know, and the documentaries that came with it and all of that. So this is what basically happens. There's a time frame for a passport to be produced, for a driver's license to be produced. When you go to the Lands Commission, there's a time frame for you to be able to get your title certifications. Those time frames are not stable, in the sense that you can do an application for a passport and they can tell you that, oh, you can do the express, which would be approximately 2 weeks, or you can do the normal, which will probably take you 2 months. But the reality of the case is that when you do those applications, you would have to wait for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. So as humans as we are, we're always looking for short ways to get things done quicker. So that kind of, you know, brought about another kind of business. So the same people that are inside the passport office would frustrate you so much such that you would still come back to them from the other side of the door, pay something extra, and then they can get you your passport within a day or two. Now, if you're willing to pay that extra, then you get it quicker. If you're not willing to pay that extra, then of course you would have to wait for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. So what the minister is saying, that we have to perhaps change all the people there, is not going to solve the problem. The truth of the matter is that, unless otherwise they're saying they want to change the entirety of management. Because the truth of the matter is that none of those Guru boys who are at the passport office or any of these other institutions work on their own. They go in there. In fact, when you actually do your online applications and you're done and you have your sheets and all of that and you're coming to even enter, most of the times you'd be told to wait until, you know, time is done for them to open up. But you would see these guys walk and then enter constantly. They come, they enter, they go, they climb up, you know, they see, they enter. He will tell you, look, just wait here, I'm coming. He goes, he sees the person up there, comes back and says, okay, we're there for 1,500, where I'm to see her. Goes back, you know, by the time you realize your pictures are being taken, by the time you realize you have your passport. So it is done. It is that facilitation, that quick facilitation that makes people willing to pay. But you see, what they don't understand is that if someone is willing to pay 1,500, for example, and someone is willing to pay 1,000 Ghana cedis, for example, to get his passport quicker, and we can actually print the passports that quicker, because I mean, obviously, if someone can go in there and get it printed within a day or two, It means it is possible.
Could it be that they actually have printed it, but it's the disbursement that becomes an issue, and so the others go there and they pick it for those that they want to extort money from?
No, I don't think so. You see, it's so when you do the applications, thousands of people are applying on a normal day. What happens is that there's a limit to which they can print on a normal days. I'll check for you how many they print on on normal days. But what happens is that when you apply, you basically just join the queue. So you wait for your time to be due in order for you to be able to access your own passport. But what happens is there are people that come in, when you pay the extra, they bypass all this and simply just print for you. Once they do the capture, it comes onto the system.
Right.
And then they print out for you. And once they print out for you, it is basically there and done. So the issues is that they have spoken on and on. They have spoken on and on about how we can keep this, but it just isn't working. And it is not working. It is not working because at the end of the day, you have people who are willing to take monies for it. And once they take monies for it, automatically people will be willing to pay. I'll give you another example. Another thing that you need to really look at is the fact that another thing that you really need to look at is the fact that if people are willing to pay 1,000, why wouldn't the government take that 1,000, make sure that the people get their passports within 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, and then no one would have to now go past the back and then come pay some extra monies. But I'm telling you why it has been like that. And this thing has, cuts across. When the NDC was in power, we had similar situations. It's something that cuts across. The government, people are benefiting from it. There are directors at places that are benefiting from it. People that are in there who are giving these Guru boys the opportunity to be able to come in there and do it are benefiting from it. So they take that 1,500, but in reality, what you're paying is about 200, 250, 300 Ghana cedis. That's it. The rest of the money goes into people's pockets. This is why the difficulty. This is why the struggles. This is why it's tough. And for me, I think that if government wants to do something about it, they would just have to make sure that, like she said, people that are in there will probably have to be changed. But not only them, management.
What about those in the Foreign Affairs Ministry? Because I know, a friend shared an experience with me where she had to go there, she paid a girl boy, and they mentioned somebody in the ministry's name, that when you go, mention that person's name.
Yeah, it happens. Look, so this is why I'm telling you that nobody can actually go in there to the passport office and simply get a passport printed out in a day or two. Don't forget that the government has its own protocol list as well. Government is always putting their own protocol list. And I'm saying that this thing cuts across. The protocol lists are sent and all of that. Sometimes you get people being added, they pay for it, and then they take it. It happens across board. I'm saying that in order for us to succeed in getting this thing kept, we would simply have to make sure that when people apply, if it is 2 weeks and I know I can receive my passport in 2 weeks, why would I pay 1,500? Look.
It's like a standard amount, eh?
No,
1,500.
No, it's true.
It's
1,500.
It's a standard amount.
Yes.
Yet, when you go to the passport office itself, you pay only 150 Ghana cedis.
That's the official fee. But if you want it quicker, 1,500, you can get your passport sometimes within 2 days.
Okay.
So these are basically the realities. Until that is kept, if the people can get it quicker, there is no need for anybody to go and pay. But they would intentionally frustrate you so that when you go through the normal process, because you have to sit down for 6 months, you have to sit down for 4 months, you have to sit down for 5 months, people now automatically will be willing to pay for that in order for them to get their passports quicker.
Okay.
Until that is kept, I don't know how we're going to deal with this.
Okay, our NPP rep is here as well. He was slightly late. His name is Dr. Ezekiel Ajekum Obing. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. How about you?
I'm fine, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
What happened that you were late?
There's a bit of traffic on the way.
Okay, so next time you set off early.
Sure.
Because here we are not late.
I know. Welcome to the family. Thank you.
Anyway, so welcome to the family, like Adele said, and we hope we'll see you more. We're discussing the rot in the passport office. The Foreign Affairs Minister has spoken, and she's so upset about what is happening. People extort money from people. Yesterday on our social media portal, we did ask people to tell us how much they've had to pay for a passport. Some even said 3,000 cedis, 5,000, just because they wanted a speedy one. And Foreign Minister, that's Honorable Ayokoboche, says, no way, this should not be accepted. And so those who have been there for a year and above are all going to be taken out and new people are going to be brought in. Your take on it, Ezekiel.
All right, thank you. Thank you once again, and good morning to our viewers. I think in the interim, as part of short-term measures, the call by the sector minister is appropriate in the right direction. My brother has alluded to a lot of issues and certain risk factors and causative agents that have made this thing possible, where people's vulnerability have been exploited by those at the passport office. And it, to a large extent, it become a canker. Looking back into the years, this phenomenon has been there. And it's part of the reasons why government introduced the digitalization system to making sure that everything is streamlined online, to take out the human interface, to make sure that through digitalization, you are able to acquire your passport without any human face. However, as humans as we are, we're able to find the loopholes within the system to still further exploit people's vulnerability. The last time I applied for a passport was last year, November. And after the online application, I had about the following year, February, March, to be called to come for my digital
3 months?
3 months, because the queue is long. At every point in time, people are applying. So yes, they have a quota they're able to serve per day. So looking at the number of people who are enrolled on the system after application, sort of gives a long queue of people to join before you are called to the office to take your biodata. However, if you are in a desperate need for the passport and you can't wait till the date you have your appointment to go and do your biodata, what then do we do? People, as humans as we are, once again, we resort to making sure that at least we find our ways around the system, and that's where the Goro boys come in. So they are primarily there to help you facilitate acquisition of your passport in no time. And by doing that, of course, you have to exchange some material gains vis-a-vis money to be able to get your passport. And it really has taken over the normal application, because if, for instance, you are supposed to serve 200 people a day, and the people you are influencing, the people that you are taking monies from to serve them, even supersede those that are already in line to get their passport, then everyone would have to resort to making sure you pay your way to getting your passport. So I understand the frustration by the sector minister and the frustration by all Ghanaians. And I think in the short term, this is one of the measures that need to be implemented. And looking forward, we look at the immediate term and then the long term, what can be done. Making sure that government is able to properly manage the digitalization system, to making sure that the human face, once again, is totally alleviated to pave way for the online application and the processing to go on. So yes, I support the call, and I support every Ghanaian that also supports the minister's call to making sure that such people at least step aside for the interim in the short term for possible, should I say, interrogations and other processes to happen for us to diagnose properly the problem, to institute the appropriate measures to making sure things are properly done.
Let's get interactive. How much have you had to pay for your passport, especially if you want it to be quicker? You know, if you want an expedited service, how much did you have to pay for it? I know you wanted to say something.
Yeah, so my brother raised the issue of the digitalization. So that was not supposed to solve this issue. The issue of the digitalization was supposed to help in the filling of forms, to make it easier for people to be able to access it from wherever they are, so I can sit in the comfort of my home, go online, apply for it, pay via mobile money, you know, and then I would have my date on my phone without necessarily having to move to the passport office. You know, back in the day...
But if you have to do biometric...
Yes. So what happens is that when you're going to take your picture, that is when you do your biometric. So once you do the application online and you're done, back in the day, you would have to go pay for the money at the bank, pick up the form, fill the form physically, submit the form to them, you know, at the passport office. You go through one office to the other office to the other office until you're totally done, and then you're given a date to come and take your picture. That process was taken out by bringing it back online. So you get to do that, and then when you have your date, because the date is given to you once you're done with the application, the next thing is to only go to that place when it's time for you to take your picture. But you see, here's what happens. When you go through this process and you're done with it, it still doesn't solve the problem of the fact that you would have to wait for 8 months or 6 months or 3 months to get your passport. So still, so now what people do is that you go online, you do your applications and all of that. Once you are done, then now you take that form, you print out that form, go to the passport office with that form and then see that Goro boy to get it printed. So you get to take your picture that same day, sometimes the following day. You understand? So instead of waiting, they now pick up the form and then take it. There are some of the Goro boys who won't even tell you to fill the forms. They'll just tell you, send me your details.
So they fill it themselves.
So you send the details, he does the filling himself, he does the payments and everything himself, he prints it out and then tells you, come tomorrow and come and take a picture.
What if there's a mistake on it?
But that's what it is. You understand what I'm saying? That's what it is. So sometimes when you come, they'll tell you, take a look at it, and verify if it's okay, and then that's it, and then you take it. So this is not solving the issue. What you have to understand is that the problem, understanding the problem helps to solve the issue. The problem is that people struggle to get, there is no ease. In 2016, I had to travel, I've basically had to do this once. In 2016, I was supposed to travel for, for an expo program in South Africa. My invitation was in. I realized that my passport, was basically just about 2 or 3 days to go. Immediately, I had to try as much as possible to get a passport. I tried we're in power. I tried every means possible, spoke to all the people that I could speak to that Adele, go through the process. I just went to the place. It is unacceptable, but I had to do that just to get my passport.
Adele, when your party was in power, it was happening. People were taking money and doing it.
I'm saying that I spoke to people within government.
They didn't help you?
No,
Okay.
I'm telling you, for a fact, I spoke to people within government. Like, the Foreign Affairs could have just said, look, go and get it done. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm saying that
was it your connection that wasn't tight?
Perhaps.
Yeah,
perhaps.
because your government also have tight connections. They got it done.
Perhaps. But I'm sharing my personal experience with you. I went to the place. I had to. I think at the time it was 600 or something. 2016, paid for it, and then I got my passport, and then I had to take the trip. So I'm saying that if you solve that issue, if you make it possible for emergencies to be dealt with, that is why you have an institution. Say somebody has to travel. It's an emergency, 2-3 days. Can I get a passport within 2-3 days? If my documentations are right, can I get it? Do I have to pay 2,000 to get it if it's an emergency? Yes.
Just like when you go to some, embassies and you want to travel to certain countries, like the UK, for instance. If you want, to get your visa, or even if you be bounced, but you want a service within a certain period, you have to pay for it.
When you go to Smith Hospital, they'll tell you they have what they call the express. You pay extra. So okay, make it possible for people to be able to get it 2 days. People to be able to get it 5 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, regardless of whether they filled it online or whatever they did. Just make that possible. And trust me, government will make more revenue, because truth is, if I can pay 2,000, I can pay 1,500, and I'll get my passport in 2 or 3 days. I'd rather pay government than give it to anybody else. So when you do that, you cut everybody else, because then you don't need them. The reason why they are frustrated is because there's a problem which has still not been solved.
But somebody out there will say that if I don't have money, then it means that unfortunately I cannot have access to the quicker service. What we know that in Ghana, it's not everybody that has it. We have classes of people.
I agree.
And so if the lower class, the person still has to travel. Let's say somebody has a scholarship, and the person has within a short period to travel. Person doesn't have money. And the person need the passport. Once this expedited service delay those who don't have the money, because again, we did say in our submission that there's a quantity to be printed
on a daily basis.
So we have expedited service. That probably will, maybe the whole thing has to be printed, they have to print 100 a day. And over 100 people have even paid for expedited service.
Right.
What then happens to those who can't afford it?
So here, Rosalind, look. Regardless of how you set up the system, the express system, the normal process and all of that, you would still get certain people who will feel like getting it. Regardless. You will still get certain people who will not be able to afford it. No two ways about it. And I'm not saying let's get rid of, the usual process of 1 month, 2 months and all that. No. Maintain it. Just make it possible. Right now, the problem you're having is that all those people who are willing to pay that amount of money are paying because they can get it quicker.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? That's why you have this problem. Okay, so solve that problem. When you solve that problem, you're done. So government, those monies that are going to the pockets of other people, because whether you like it or not, whether you solve the problem or not, people will still be willing to pay. Because they want it. It's a need that people are trying to satisfy. So once you know there's a need, it's kind of amazing for me. This is business. when there's a need, you create something in order to solve that need so you can make money out of it.
Yeah.
So when you have come to the conclusion that there is actually a need, people require it within a certain time frame. Solve that problem. You make that extra money, you cut everybody off, and then everything goes on smoothly. For those who cannot afford, go through the normal process. Make sure that the normal process also works. If it's 2 months, yes. If it's 3 months, let the people know. And
just make sure the process works. That is it.
If it's 3 months, 3 months. But don't tell me 2 months and then I wait for 6 months. Don't tell me 2 weeks and then I wait for 2 months.
That's what the problem is.
That's the problem.
Okay, you want to make another input and then I go to my next topic?
My brother has not shifted the argument, has not discounted the fact that the digital system was introduced to take some form of human interface. And that is where we all need to come on board to support the action of government.
Supporting.
We are still supporting.
I have not said it's a bad thing. I'm only making reference to the fact that your indication that was supposed to solve that problem. I'm saying it is not to solve that problem. It was supposed to reduce. So it is not to solve this problem. Because if it is to solve this problem, why are we having the problem? It won't solve the problem.
Definitely there will be loopholes in every system. And of course, people will definitely always look for the loopholes and try to exploit it. So yes, everything we've all said points to the fact that we all want things to work and work for the betterment of our country. The solutions my brother has prescribed, together with what government intends to do, are all in the direction to making sure that things are done properly. The sector minister has not said this is the only solution she's going to prescribe to the problem. For the time being, she's identified people who are exploiting people's vulnerability, and she's going to ask them to step aside for proper measures to be put in place. Let's support the initial call, and let's all come on board to prescribe or suggest ways we can better the system to making sure that, yes, at the end of the day, we have a smooth and an easy way of acquiring your passport. And of course, if people are willing to pay that much, like my brother said, there needs to be a proper or a different measure to making sure that such people are saved, to making sure they have to pay if they so desire. So yes, it's not far from the solution.
Adele is saying that even the executives must be sacked. It shouldn't just be, the officers, the normal officers. The management must be sacked as well if we want to really clean the system.
I don't necessarily support the call for the management to be sacked. No one has identified any management member being directly involved in taking someone's money to print any passport. There is no manager who is serving as a Goro boy. I can't sit here and say that a Goro boy is being sent by a manager or a director to go and take people's money. Of course, we understand people parade around the facilities to assist people in filling their forms and getting dates.
You know that when the Goro boys get there, they cross queue and go to the manager's office. Who takes them there?
And I don't think they go to the manager's office.
They go where?
You go to the various offices.
They go to the directors?
Not directors per se. When you go to a passport office, where you do your biometric, that's not the manager's office. They are normal public service employees like ourselves.
A friend of mine actually did hers. She was taken to the director's office. Director came and told the people to do biometric fast. Do this fast. Do this fast. Do this fast before she left. And she was led by the Guru boy to the director's office.
Once again, we've not identified any director directly involved in
I didn't mention any directors name.
Exactly. So yes, we can take the measure, but I don't think getting the directors out will necessarily solve the problem. The moment the Guru boys are not there, the director will not be the one to step out of his office or out of her office to come and stand outside to collect people's monies to do the biometric filling or the printing or the passport for the people. So as part of the first steps, yes, let's get the people, the Guru boys out, and let's look at sanitizing the system. And that's the first step the minister wants to take. And I think it's right.
Okay, that's good. Yes.
Just small.
Adele.
We need you. You see, we keep talking about these things. You see, when you're in denial, you never solve a problem. When you go to the passport office and you fill your forms and everything, first of all, you have to understand that there are cameras within the premises. The people that are standing outside, entering and climbing all the way to the top, cannot and will not be able to build the temerity to just enter from the gate and climb all the way to the top.
That's even security, it's not just camera.
At the security post, when you come there and you don't have your slip, you won't get access to enter. If you're a casual person and nobody knows you, you can't enter. Even at Makola, you can't. I said Makola, Tema Station. Tema Station here. Okay. You cannot enter. The only time you get to enter is when somebody up there calls the security and say, Manambra, I've been there. I know what I'm talking about.
I don't think that's the case. I've personally been to the Laboni office, the general office, and I entered without mentioning any director's name. Of course, I don't know any director, but I had access to their offices to make inquiries.
Were you in the queue? Did you join the queue?
I spoke to the security, and I asked,
so the security made you cross the queue?
There was no queue. It's an open system.
Where did you go? Where did you go?
The one at Ridge.
To do what?
To go and make inquiries about my passport.
Were you going to print the passport?
I was going to make an inquiry. I was not going to print.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, I'm saying something. It's two different things. I'm saying that you're talking about Rich.
So you have experience.
Yes.
Okay, he's talking about his experience. So he has the experience.
He's trying to make the analogy
his own is that, Ezekiel is saying that
you can enter.
He entered. He made his inquiries. And nobody stopped him.
You don't need a director.
You don't need a director.
To enter.
But Adele is also saying that his experience, he had to go through somebody to enter somewhere.
Rosie,
is that what it is?
Let me tell you something. There are two premises he's making reference to. Rich is the head office. That is where we do the what do you call it, the protocol printings and all of that. That is Rich. You can't walk to Rich and say, I'm coming to do passport. You can't do that. When you want to do, you go to Tema Station. You can go to Rich to make inquiries. I can walk to Rich like you walk and make inquiries. But I'm saying when you go to Tema Station and you want to enter the premises in the morning and you don't have your slip, you can't enter. If you want to,
you're only referencing Tema Station.
I'm making Tema Station.
Not the passport office in general.
No, that is the experience I have. So I'm
at Tema Station.
At Tema Station.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm saying that at Tema Station, you can't even get access unless someone from the top calls you to come in and look at it.
But if you have a form, you can enter.
If you have a form and the date stipulates that it is that day, of course, they would allow you to enter.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? But if you don't have the form, because that is the first thing the security man will ask you, is your date today? Where is your form? Let me have a look at it.
But if you are with a guardian, you can enter, right? If your guardian doesn't have a form, can you enter?
Yes, if your guardian doesn't have a form, but you are with a guardian, you can basically enter.
Okay, so probably the Goro Boys serve as guardians, right?
No, they don't. I mean, how is that? I'm telling you that these are... So when you get to Tema Station and you take the first curve before you branch towards right, they are there. You will see them. They are all across the place. They are just standing there waiting for somebody.
The Goro Boys?
Yes. And then they tell you, wait. They do the filling of the forms right there, out there. They have their computers and everything. They do it. And then they go in there, come back and tell you, pay. He goes in there, gets you the date, sometimes the same day, sometimes the following day. And when he's working with you, he works with you in there. No one stops him. And I'm saying that you cannot tell me that with all the cameras in the place, and you cannot tell me that with all the things that this government has spoken about protecting the citizenship for people, and we need to make sure, you cannot tell me that there's nobody watching and seeing what's happening. It doesn't make sense.
That's why the minister has spoken.
Exactly. So I'm saying that to say that directors and managers have nothing to do with it is totally unheard of. I'm telling you that the directors, the managers, you cannot do it.
Some.
In the absence of the Goro boy, if a director supposedly
some
is
directors,
involved, some directors are involved in the collection of monies, in the absence of the Goro boys who serve in quotes as their legs and eyes, would the directors be able to take money in the absence of Goro boys? So they can't take that money.
And that is why the director is not taking the money directly.
That's why we need to get the Goro boys out, even if your argument holds. If the Goro boy is not there today, and I'm the director, and I'm involved in taking people's money through you, that process cannot happen.
Exactly. That is why I am telling you that. Solve the problem.
So then, you know, the honourable minister has actually spoken that she is not the Goro boy she's getting rid of. She's getting rid of the people in the system who have been there for a year and more.
No problem. She did not mention any director's name or mention any position that I'm getting rid of directors.
You can't be, okay, anyway, 1 year more, probably 20 years for those who have risen to directorship. So you think somebody who is probably a director and has been there a year will be taken off?
The mentioning, what the sector minister said, once again, did not specify any directorship.
No.
She mentioned those who have been there over a year or a year and more. So yes, I can't prescribe, I can't sit here and say that of A, B, and C are going to be part of those to be sacked or gotten rid of. But let's not create the impression. My issue is that the moment we bring in the directors, those are the managers of a public office or public institution. The moment we bring the directors to try and run their integrity down, then we are losing people's public interest or public confidence in those government institutions.
But it's a reality.
It's a reality.
It's a reality.
No director has taken anyone's money.
No, you can't say no. Just say some.
You don't.
There's no identifiable director.
Just say
We can
some.
point to
Say you.
boys.
Oh, say
We
some.
can-
Some. Because you and I don't know. Probably there's a director somewhere who has spoken to somebody who has taken money.
You don't know.
understand? So let's
absence,
say
in the absence
some.
of the Guru boy, the director will not be able to take that money. That is the fundamental issue.
All right. Okay. Let's quickly read some comments coming through, and some of the comments coming in. You can also send in your messages. We'll definitely read it. And so let's get interactive, okay? Now, we always say that whatever happens in the economy is not just about us, it's you and us. So when we get interactive, hopefully we know that we'll get results. So our comments coming through. Some comments coming through. Brenda Inchidonko says, I went through the hectic process of getting my son a passport, and after waiting for a year, wow, 1 year, I was told by the passport office that someone had collected my son's passport. Strangely, they haven't been able to give me name of who picked it, nor have I received the passport, and now I have to start the whole process again. Wow. Aaron Beba Kokokomisa says, good morning to you. The list of most corrupt institutions in Ghana will serve a great purpose or deal, and it will go a long way to clean up the mess. That bad culture we have adopted as part of our working process. That is Goro boys at the passport office and some unlawful intermediaries within the public space must be eliminated and be avoided for good to allow transparency to prevail and avoid overcharging of fees and delay in our public sector, most especially at the passport office and another public department. Love, not hate. Thank you so much, Aaron. He continues, the issue of corruption is now part of us, and this has nothing to do with any political party, A or B. I think President Atta Mills, during his tenure of office, did everything possible as a man of the soil to eliminate, fight the culture of corruption among the public sector workers. And this current political administration has also introduced special prosecutor, which is enshrined within the 1992 Constitution to prosecute public officials that have been investigated and found guilty of corrupt deals and what have you. But the story is still the same and it's getting worse day in and day out. My point is that the government must establish strong measures to stop police officers from taking 5 Ghana cedis, 10 Ghana cedis from traffic offenders. Hello, they've increased it. It's no more 10 Ghana cedis. Some WhatsApp messages coming in as well. Good morning. This passport thing is very bad. I applied my online last year, August, and appointment date for biometric was 18th October. Wow, I did it. After collecting the date of my passport was 29 January this year. Funny enough, from January, I have been there till now. But what have they always been saying is not, what they've always been saying is that it's not ready for 9 months now. I mean, so this kind of experience will definitely let you, it will force you to pay a girl boy, because the girl boy will be able to give it to you. Wow. I applied mine last September and I have not gotten it. And my husband too last year, June, and still our passport has not been given. Joycelyn from Huni Valley. Joycelyn, wow. Hello, we are suffering because we have not paid anything for them to give it to us. Hi, I applied for a renewal of my traveling passport with correct details. I was issued with a new passport with wrong year of birth. That is 1986 instead of 1985. The mistake was made at the passport application center and they admitted they made the mistake. The passport office has asked me to get an affidavit and reapply for a new passport again, which I did at my own cost about a month ago. I have still not got the passport, and the office is not taking any responsibility in getting me the passport. Jonas. Now this one is even, going to get an affidavit, trying to get it sorted becomes another issue.
That one is even a problem. So the other issue that they've actually not paid attention to is the fact that once your details are captured onto the system, why do you have to reapply? My details are on the system. They're on your system. So if I'm coming for a renewal, if I'm coming to, basically reapply, you don't need to take all those details again in order for you to reprint. What you do is you basically just go onto your system. That is why the passport has a number. But they do all these things so they can extort from you. Because you can just go back into the system and say, okay, so these are for backlogs, or these are for reprints, and these are for renewals. Your system is in it. Once you key my passport details, it comes out. That is why when you take your passport details, your passport to the bank, they can just access it and see, what it is. So you have it on your system, just print.
And that is why, you know, the introduction of digitalization, but it looks like, you know, what Ezekiel said, there are loops in everything. Hi, good morning. Please, we shouldn't put much of the blame on the staff at the passport office. However, if the person who actually needs a passport will obey what the rule says and go through the normal procedure, no one will come out from the office and take money from you. It is the habit of the Ghanaian. But, you know, somebody is waiting for 9 months. Nobody is forcing those people. For the 9 months, the system will force you. I mean, who want to wait for 9 months? Okay. The call made by minority in Parliament for the president to address the nation on the BOG crisis is good call. But it's unfortunate that we have a president who does not speak to realities, but believes in manipulating truths publicly and engaging in blame games. I really do not think the president has any good thing to tell Ghanaians. Daniel Akpaliok from Sunday Mafuo Price. All right, so you know what, talking about that, can we delve into our next topic then? Let's talk about John Kwachi. He has spoken, and John Kwachi says that BOG can't be faulted for being forced into DDEP. I'll read a little bit about what he said. BOG overlent to government, and then you bring in this DDP, which qualifies us for IMF program. And IMF compels BOG to be part of it. Out of the 60.8 billion loss they have declared, 53.1 million Ghana cedis is coming direct from DDEP. So the question is, will you fault them for that? We can fault them for overlending to the government. That is the problem. But why they were being forced to be part of DDEP is also another. That one, you can't fault them for it. Let me start with you, Ezekiel. Dr. Kwachi has spoken. Yes. Do you agree with him?
I agree with Dr. Kwachi. The Bank of Ghana cannot be faulted for the losses they made. Let's go back.
He's not talking about the losses, though.
The 60.8 billion.
That's not what he spoke about. He spoke about they being forced to DDEP, the debt exchange program.
It's captured in what
the amount of money that, you know, the debt exchange program, they made loss out of is 53.1 billion.
Exactly. So it forms part of the whole 60+ billion that's out there to be a loss by the Bank of Ghana.
Okay.
And of course, Dr. Kwachi is trying to tell us that over 87% of those monies are from the DDEPs. And Bank of Ghana, being the apex bank, is part of its functions is to help cushion the government in times of distress. And if you go back into last year, we've had the most turbulent times from 2021, especially, and last year. Fuel prices were skyrocketing, the exchange rate, the inflation from about 12% to about 54% by end of the year. The whole economic situation in the country was very, very disturbing at that point. And Bank of Ghana had to step in to cushion the government, to making sure that the economy is sustainable, workers are able to receive their salaries, essential services are being provided, and every aspect of the economy is able to run without any hitch. That is when the Bank of Ghana stepped in to lend some money to the government. And then IMF program kicks in. And certain conditionalities as part of securing the deal was to let government engage stakeholders into agreeing on the domestic debt exchange program. And Bank of Ghana, being one of the institutions which lend money to the government, was also forced to be part of the program. Unlike individuals and institutions who did not take haircuts for their principal, Bank of Ghana had to take haircuts to a tune of about 50% of their capital. That accounts for some of the losses they made. And that's where Dr. Kwachi is trying to say that, yes, Bank of Ghana cannot be faulted because they were made, or it was necessary for Bank of Ghana to join the DDEP, and that is where the losses are made. So yes, I agree with Doc. The problem is not because of mismanagement. The problem is not because Bank of Ghana did anything wrong, but rather in helping the government to secure the IMF deal, had to enter the DDEP program, and that is where the losses came from. Because yes, the monies lent to government, there was some haircuts which made Bank of Ghana lose up to, like already said, 50% of the monies lended to government. So yes, I support Dr. Kwachi. Yes.
All right, Adele.
Rosalind, what brought about DDEP? What brought about our inflation and our monies getting to where they have gotten to today? These are essential. You see, Ezekiel, growing up, you had family. You would go to school perhaps, and there probably is a time you're supposed to come back home. I'm sure in GSS, if you go back home 11 p.m., it will be a problem. No? It will be a problem. Because there has to be rules and regulations. No society will thrive without rules and regulations. It's not possible. You have principles. You have things you believe in. You have goals you have set for yourself. And then you tell yourself that in order for me to achieve these goals, even as a politician, I need to do A, B, C, D, just so I can get there. Once you violate that, it is a problem. So here's what is happening. We're a nation. These monies we're talking about, it's for all of us. We can't manage it. We say, let's form a government. Let it take care of it. However, we're going to give that government rules and regulations on how to handle these things for us. Manage it for us. In exchange, we'll pay you. We'll give you allowances. We'll give you salaries. But you have a responsibility to follow those details to the latter. DDEP. Why? Because of mismanagement. Why were you forced to do DDEP? Because you simply cannot pay your debts. You can't. Someone says, I want T-bills. Someone says, I'm buying government bonds. Because I feel this is the safest place to put my investment. When I grow old, I can mutualize it. It is the place that when I put my money, I don't have to worry about the bank collapsing. It is government. Even if Nana Akufo-Addo leaves, Mahama will come, he will pay.
But IMF could have actually just said that these are the kind of rules and regulations we are giving to you without involving the central bank. But there's a case whereby IMF says, come what may, I want to involve the central bank. And so then it's IMF that is insisting on involving the central bank. When your government went to IMF, there were other things that your government were supposed to do. And we couldn't fault you for that, because what it is that IMF says that these are the rules and regulations in order for us to give you the monies. Right. And this time they say the same thing. These are the rules and regulations. Right. We need BOG on board. And so how do you fault BOG?
So I'm actually building a point, but I'll still come to it. Let me just take care of this. So listen, yes, the NDC went to the IMF on different circumstances. Different circumstances. The reason why they are going to the IMF today is because they have over-borrowed, they have passed, they have closed. At the time we handed over government to them, what was the debt to GDP? We still had some fiscal space. You understand what I'm saying? But here is the point where you have borrowed to the point that you don't have enough money to be able to clear your debts. So in order for us to be able to help you, in order to make you attractive, in simple terms, you have borrowed 100,000 Ghana cedis. Your salary is, say, 120,000 Ghana cedis. You owe 100,000 Ghana cedis. You're supposed to pay that money. When you pay off that money, what you have left will not take care of anything. You can't pay salaries. You won't be able to manage anybody. So they're saying, okay, we would help you. However, you would have to do DDEP. You would have to do domestic debt exchange. The people that you owe, sit down with them and tell them, look, we can't pay because this is where we find ourselves in. And because we are here and we can't pay you, we beg you, allow us some time. You will not be able to get your interest, but we'll give you your principal over this time, because the truth of the matter is that if you want to pay now, you can't. The economy will collapse. So the circumstances which we went to the IMF is why we didn't go into a DDEP, because there was space. You understand my argument? So I'm saying that. But
you still went to IMF. You still had rules and regulations coming in from IMF.
And so
this is the IMF calling. This is not BOG's fault, is it?
I'm saying that IMF is bringing in BOG because there is no any other choice. If there was a choice, BOG would not be a part of it.
So can we fault BOG for it then?
No. So I'm coming. I'm trying to build the point as to where BOG came into it and why we are where we are. Why? BOG is government.
No, but what Dr. Kwachi is saying is that, but when we're cutting out, the nurses' allowances and all of that was cut out because IMF said so. It's all part of, somebody will say that it was supposed to be the government thing, okay? Now again, what Dr. Kwachi is saying is that IMF is the one who roped in BOG, not BOG going in there themselves. So let's not fault BOG too much, as though BOG said, I am putting myself in this debt.
So here's the thing. Perhaps if you had allowed me to go all the way to the end of my presentation.
It's just the timing,
I know. Okay, so let me just do the quick.
Okay.
So government mismanaged the economy. Bank of Ghana is the banker of government. Every asset we have, every money we have, basically sits at BOG. So, in as much as they are independent from government, because they for monetary and fiscal, decisions and all of that, they have to have that independence in order for them to be able to do things a bit okay. I'm saying that when he raises the issues of DDEP, and we're saying that the IMF roped in, BOG, I'm saying that was done because of the mismanagement that we had gone through. So automatically IMF would invite them to come in.
Right.
Okay. Now when they came in, they also had a responsibility to do A, B, C, D, E, of which they didn't. So we are where we are. You cannot say that the Bank of Ghana has not played any role in this 60.8 billion.
Which responsibility are those?
Please. You cannot say that they have not played any role. It's not possible. What we have said again, and the conversation that we have had regarding Bank of Ghana is basic. We're saying that, look, the Constitution, Article 183, Section 30, and this is the amended act of, the 2000, it was 2016, we amended it to 198, and the amended of 2002, Act 612, indicated, Section 30, that, look, you can give government loans.
Yeah.
If government wants an overdraft, you can give them. But you see, you have to remember, the Bank of Ghana does not take deposits. So when they say you can give government deposits and you can give them, overdrafts and loans, what it meant is that you can actually print out money for them. Okay, when you want to do that printing of money, you can do that and you're not supposed to exceed 5%. Before, in Kufuor's time, it was 10%. Mahama amended it in 2016 to make it 5%. Why? Because we felt that it was a bit too high and it will worry, in terms of inflation.
Right.
So we brought it down to 5%. When we brought it down to 5%, you're not supposed to exceed this 5%. You exceeded that 5% in 2021 by over 60%. You say we shouldn't talk about it.
Well, no, he didn't say that.
Exactly.
No, what he said was, let me read it again. BOG overlent to government, and then you bring in this DDEP, which qualifies as for IMF program. So, and then he says, now 60.8 billion Ghana cedis lost from the BOG. We take out 53.1 billion Ghana cedis out of the 60.8, sorry. You look at 53.1 billion is as a result of DDEP.
I'm saying that, Rosalie. I'm saying that. So, okay, so you're saying we should take...
Yeah, so he agreed that, they did overlend to the government.
Okay.
He did agree to it. Okay. But he's saying that the whole 60 billion is not from the overlending, sorry.
No problem, no problem. If you take out that 53, there was still some money.
He has agreed.
Okay, great. So I'm saying that. So here's what I'm saying. When you take the DDEP, before we would even come to the issues of DDEP, the Bank of Ghana itself was printing money for government as far back as 2021 before we started this whole IMF program.
Okay.
So I'm saying that all these things they have done has contributed to why we are where we are and why we even have to enter into a DDEP. So you can't basically just sit down and say, oh, they didn't play any role, they didn't do any. Every single detail in their own report placed on their website tells you that themselves have been culpable. This is an argument.
All right. Okay. Ezekiel, you want to say something?
Obviously, the NDC would like to play politics with everything, enroping governments and obviously cast insinuations. We are talking about the Bank of Ghana and whether they were at fault and what contributed to the losses they've made. When the 60.8 billion once again was thrown out or came to light, a lot of people had to feast on it to create the impression that yes, there's some corruption going on or overspending of money.
But there was overlending, right?
There was overlending to government. Now, let's consider what precipitated such overlending. Let's look at the economic environment we found ourselves last year. Bank of Ghana had to come in to cushion the government.
But this overlending is not just from last year.
We are talking about the COVID regime when COVID broke.
That was when the overlending started.
COVID started from when?
2020. But the overlending is not from there.
It's for a period.
It's for a period.
And chunk of the money obviously came in when we had economic distress. You understand? So yes, let's look at the prevailing conditions that necessitated Bank of Ghana to take the actions they took. Was it necessary? What could have been done? Was anyone or any institution available to help government during that time? Remember, we're not able to go to the world market to go and borrow. And in order to let the economy function, in order not to lose any aspect of our economy, there is no aspect of the economy that came to a standstill. Worker salary, the government flagship programs, the massive programs government is undertaking, nothing came to a standstill because the economy was still thriving. And Bank of Ghana served as one of the cushioning measures to helping government. Yes, Bank of Ghana came in. And of course, the IMF program also stipulated, as you already alluded to, that yes, in order to get your IMF approval, the DEP had to be enforced, or government had to negotiate or speak to its lenders to making sure that they agree a certain pathway as to repayment and interest payments. And Bank of Ghana, like you said, could not be left out because Bank of Ghana was one of the major financiers of the government. So Bank of Ghana could not be left out. They came in, and instead of, or in a situation where other institutions and individuals, as already said, were not made to take a haircut, Bank of Ghana was forced to make a haircut. And that is where majority of the losses came from. So let's situate the argument in the context of the Bank of Ghana and whether or not they made any untoward decision that incurred any debt or any losses to them and by extension the country. And that is where the argument needs to be situated. And whether or not the measures they took were necessary. They overlent, yes, but were they necessary? What were the problems pertaining?
But you can't. So what you're saying in a nutshell is that if it's necessary for me, the law says that I'm not supposed to be a murderer. Yeah. But if it's necessary for me to kill, I should kill. No, we have rules and regulations.
Yes.
We know you're not supposed to print over a certain amount.
Yes.
You print over a certain amount, and your excuse is it was necessary.
It wasn't up to the Bank of Ghana to change the policy that was made. The 5% threshold.
It was up to
the ministry to go back to Parliament to seek Parliament approval or
and it was never happened. It never happened.
It wasn't the fault of the Bank of Ghana.
It was his fault.
If anything, it was the ministry's responsibility to go back to Parliament.
So we should blame the ministry and not
we are speaking
the
about Bank of Ghana
okay.
and whether or not they made any mistake.
All right. Some messages coming in. Let's see our very first message coming in. Please, you can also send in your message to us and definitely we'll read it live on air. Good morning, Joy Prime, for the good work doing. The issue around passport acquisition is so gargantuan. Okay, I did my biometric process after the online stage. I was given 2 months for collection, but was told to call and find out before coming. When I called, the response was, those who were captured 5 months before mine are not even in, and I am in 2 months calling to come for collection. So if I need it fast, I have to pay an additional 700 Ghana cedis. After I did pay, I was called for 3 days. After 3 days for collection, said Derek inside East Legon. Wow. Hey, hi Joy Prime. The issue with passport is a serious one. I applied for mine on November 2021. By November this year, it will be 2 years, and there are middlemen who are taking between 1,000 and 2,000 Ghana cedis to print within 4 days. I have approached a couple of them. One agreed 1,000 Ghana cedis. A week later, he increased it to 1,500. I had to stop because it doesn't make sense. How can I apply with 100 Ghana cedis and pay 1,500 Ghana cedis to a Goro boy? I will wait forever. We hope that things will change though. Good morning, Joy Prime, for the good work. Okay, I think I have already done this one. Hi, have you noticed that when the IMF came to defend the Bank of Ghana, the noise of the NDC has minimized? If the Bank of Ghana will collapse, it would have been in 2016. NDC must give us a break. Always making unnecessary noise. Nana Swedru. Good morning, Joy Prime. I'm Lucy from Badre. I needed a passport for me and my son on a specific date. So one friend of mine, okay, recommended someone and told he actually helped me to get one. I got his number. I called him and he told me how fast. I told him how fast I wanted it. He said if I need it in 1 week, I should pay 5,000 Ghana cedis for both. I paid and also told me to wait till a week later. When I went there, I found out that this person does not work at the office. I waited for 3 months before I finally got it. When I complained to the authority, nothing has been done about it. As I speak, he's dead. Wow. So please believe this issue has to be dealt with. Wow. The man has died with the 5,000 Ghana cedis. I see. Things are happening in Ghana. Anyway, quickly, I want to move on to my next topic, please.
Listen.
He says overlending. Yes, they have overlended to government. He says the reason why all this is happening is because government couldn't go out to the international market to borrow. Why? That is what we're saying. We're saying it is because of all this recklessness. That is why you couldn't go back to borrow. This is what we're saying. You admit that the Bank of Ghana overlended them, which they were not supposed to do. You agree. He comes in and talks about the issue of COVID. COVID, my brother Ezekiel, the money she received during COVID was 30 billion plus. What you used for COVID, when you audited, when World Bank asked that we audit the COVID funds and it was audited, what you indicated that you had spent on COVID was 12 billion. In fact, you had an excess of 18 billion, which you used for budget support. So why are you still blaming COVID? Why do you still talk about COVID and say that we didn't have money? You had money to the tune of 30 billion. You used only 12 for COVID. And then you still sit here and you talk about it. Roslyn, listen, the same, how do you call it, BOG Act 30, subsection 3 indicates that, listen, when the Bank of Ghana lends money to government, not above 5%, not above 5%, they are supposed to pay back that money within 3 months. If within 3 months they have not prepaid that money, the power to reprint, the power to re-lend them, the power to give them will not be exercised until that money has been repaid. You gave them in 2021, 35 billion, which is about 60% of the money. They came back again in 2022. You gave them 45, another 60 billion. Who does that? Which bank will you go to and say, I want a loan? They say, okay, how much? 100,000, they give it to you. You're supposed to pay 2-3 months. You go and come back and say, give me 200,000, then they give it to you. Who does that? And then we're saying all these things she did is a problem. It is the reasons why our inflation is where it is. Because there's too much money within your pockets looking for small goodies. So all of us are struggling because of your recklessness. And you say, don't bring Bank of Ghana into it. Leave them. They haven't done anything. Don't bring. We are where we are because this government has been reckless. They have been useless. They have dragged in Bank of Ghana together with Addison. They have messed up the state. Why is opening court? Why is opening court? They say because of these kind of things. So you drag people to court. You say you cannot do this, but you can have Bank of Ghana. Addison can comfortably sit down when these rules and regulations are sitting here. Let me slap you here, Ezekiel. It will be called what? Assault. No? I'm asking you, if I did that, it is called what? Assault. He can take me to court. You know why? We can't just say, oh, because he said something to make me angry, I slapped him. What do you mean? It was necessary. It was necessary to break the law. It was necessary for me to slap you.
Well, I think we've already dealt with that one. Let's move on to our next topic.
That's
talking
ridiculous.
About import and export. The government did promise us that we'll have more exports and we'll make more revenues as a country. But it looks like in 2022, we have actually made more imports than exports. And we've made over 4.5 billion Ghana cedis of exports as recorded. So in 9 out of 12 months in 2022, the value of imports was higher than exports. The largest variation in the month where imports exceeded exports was recorded in September, which is 4.5 billion Ghana cedis. Ghana faced a notable trade imbalance in 2022, as indicated by the inaugural Trade Vulnerability Report from the Ghana Statistical Service. The report reveals that the country's imports exceeded its exports by 4.5 billion Ghana cedis, underscoring a significant economic challenge. And of course, we were supposed to have exported more, but we ended up importing more. Where are we going wrong? Because, Ezekiel, the government said we'll export more, so we get more money, so we get more revenue. But it looks like we are rather importing more.
We are still not adding value to our natural resources and the resources we have in the country. So in an environment or an economy where resource value addition to our raw materials it's not done, we are bound to face these challenges. In the extent that almost everything we consume would have to be imported. So yes, the losses or the imports and exports disparity is not out of the norm, because yes, we are still a raw material producing economy which has less value to the materials that we produce.
But that's not what we were told in 2016.
It's a process. It's not an event.
How long will it take?
It's a process. It will take time to making sure that we have the industries available to add value to to our natural resources. That's where we need to encourage government to push further on the one district, one factory agenda the government has.
But the government has always been encouraged. People are even calling on it to be done. People want the one district, one factory.
And government is still committed to making sure that we have as many factories as possible.
Okay.
We have a number of the factories around. We can point to those from Ekonfi, Casa de Ropa, and those that are involved in the manufacturing of footwears, amongst others. So yes, we still have a lot of deficits. That's what this thing tells us, that there's still some areas that need to be covered. Government has started the 1D, 1F. Yes, we are adding value to our natural resources. It still tells us that we still need to do more. So yeah, government, this is rather a call on the government to making sure that the 1D, 1F policy is strengthened and making sure that, yes, we have as many factories as possible in and around the country to add value to our raw materials. Okay. So that's where the disparity is. Once we are still not adding value, we are bound to have these problems. We need to produce more the things we consume. And
you know, currently we've been told by the government that we have a lot of one district, one factories. It's ongoing. Sometimes when I have my guests, they say, "Oh, we have so many. We have over hundreds of numbers, and they're still not reflecting." So is it that even the factories that we are investing in are not producing enough goods for it to reflect, or what is it? Because we have a Ministry of Trade and Natural Resources that this is their focus. They are supposed to do it. So where are we going wrong?
We have a number of them at various stages of completion. Of course, we know
still at various stages of completion.
Obviously, we still have those.
So we are not producing goods.
We are producing goods. As to the amount that we need to produce to make us self-sufficient and to export, I think that's where the disparity is. So yes, government is still in the course of making sure that we have as many factories as possible. And of course, this was not the norm. The government introduced the 1D, 1F after realizing this particular canker. And that is the commitment. And like I said, it's not an event that will take place with a blink of an eye. It's a process, it's a journey.
It's been 7 years.
We were how many years before this government came in?
But when you give a promise, you didn't give the promise saying that it will take me 15 years or 20 years to complete. You said, give me 4 years and I'll do it. And then 4 years was given. Then we were told, give another 4 years and we'll do it. Another 4 years has been given.
Within the 4 years and the other years added, government has shown commitment.
When we look at some of the policies that you brought, a typical example is free SHS, yes, which was done and immediately commenced. And you understand. So how is it that this one is struggling?
Building a factory, resourcing the factory, producing or making products, and having those factories spread across the country is different from implementation of free SHS. The only thing you need to implement free SHS is to present a bill to Parliament. Let Parliament pass it, or an executive instrument order be given for the Ministry of Education to implement free SHS. We already have schools. It's a matter of allowing our children to go to school and say government has absorbed.
And which one is this one?
This is making sure you acquire land acquisition, make sure you have the right partners and the business orientation of the particular location you're going to have. It is way different from implementation of free SHS.
Ezekiel, we were told that it's not always that you start from scratch. We were told that there are some existing businesses that you go and support them, yes, and they are actually added to them. You mentioned, yes, Jospon, you mentioned other companies. They were already in existence. It wasn't the government that started looked for a land before they did all of that. So
the commitment is there. And you yourself you've mentioned a number of factories.
I mentioned just two.
The PPPs, right? The commitment is there. Government has started. But of course, there is still some vacuum. There is still some space that needs to be covered. Until government is fully functional, until we have all the factories and even more up and running, we are bound to have this import-export disparity. And that is why we need to further do more with the 1D, 1F.
Okay, Adele.
Muslim, these people...
Which people?
The MPP, they simply have no shame. They have no shame. Like they are shameless.
What did they do?
I'll tell you. You see, when you sit comfortably and you say these kind of things, it gets to me.
Because government is building factories.
What factories? What factories are you building? Where are they? You sit here and tell us that you're churning this economy. You're moving it from what you call the Gajisberg economy. What is that? Let's produce our own stuff. Let's export it.
But we have a Kumfi.
Don't worry, I'm coming into it. Let's build our own stuff. Let's build our factories. Let's export so we can get more dollars. Because the truth of the matter is that the more you export, the more of that foreign exchange you get, and the more your economy stabilizes. This is what you told us. When you started One District, One Factory, you told us that you were building it in every district. In fact, they gave us a map of Ghana, indicating to you in all the various regions what can be sold within, what is in Western region, what can be built, in Central region, what can be built, in Ashanti region. Lies! Like, no,
it's a work in progress. It's not lies. It's a work in process.
Look, when you're speaking, I'm sitting here, please, out of respect. I don't want to be distorted. No, I don't want to be distorted.
Is it not work in progress?
Yeah, work in progress, 7 years. Why? When you were coming in power in 2016, were you promised 7 years or 8 years? You were promised 4 years. You didn't know that within that 4 years you couldn't build 2,000 plus factories. You didn't know. You didn't know you had to go and get the land. Build a factory. Go and look for partners and come and build a factory and start exporting. You didn't know. Even Commander Sugar Factory we built and left for you. You came. What was left was sugar cane. You couldn't even start it. That's the thing you're talking about.
Oh, they started.
Oh my God, they started what sugar?
How much?
Wait, Ezekiel, don't take his time, please. Don't take his time. Let him. You know that they have started, the sugar factory, right? The Commander. They are trying.
When?
But they said it.
I'm asking, what sugar? Have you seen sugar?
But it will come.
It will come.
It will come.
How much sugar did it?
Oh, Ezekiel. You see, they have a what logic. Say, listen, I want to rear chicken.
Not a confirm.
I want to rear chicken. Listen to me, chicken, akoko. You and I know that they need space. If it is this foreign one you are bringing, if it is that one you are bringing, they need space. You can't put them in rain. You say that, let's go and bring them. Put them out there. Let the rain be pouring while we start building a shed. This is what they told us about Commander. That we should plant sugarcane, which takes 3 months. Today you're sitting here and telling me that we need time. We should plant sugarcane, which takes 3 months to be ready. We should plant that one, let the sugarcane finish, and then we'll pack it there waiting for the factory to be built in 1 year, 2 years.
You know there's a shoe factory in Kumasi.
I am not disputing.
Yes.
Look, let me tell you something. Listen, I'm saying that these people, they are shameless.
But there's just one.
God just one.
Oh, but they have. It was part of it. But this is part of it.
Very soon, okay, no problem. Very soon you'll be here. One day you wake up and then get out of this place and you see One District, One Factory, Joy Prime. This is what they do.
No.
Why? This is what they do.
This is for Kwesichum.
Me say, just want to say you'll be there.
No, maybe it depends on
what
the person
you would wake up one morning and see One District, One Factory signboard here. Because we have to come and give Kwesichum some money to employ some 5 or 10 extra people.
But Adele, will you agree that some companies were already producing, but we needed to produce in larger quantities so we could export. So the government decided that we look at Jospon, we look at Ekunfi, we look at the shoe factory. These factories, if we should put money in there, it's already an existing factory. Instead of going to look for a land for now, let's push some money in there so we can increase the production rate and we can export. You don't think it's a good thing to do?
You're sick. I admit, all of us admit, you are ill.
Oh, no, me not sick, though.
I am ill.
Okay.
We all admit I am ill. Yeah, I'm from Menko Hospital. I've gone to the hospital. Doctor says I'm giving you medications. It's called amoxiclav. You're supposed to take it morning and evening. You're supposed to take 5 ml morning, 5 ml in the evening. I wake up in the morning, Rosalind comes, Adele, come. Here, take 0.5 ml, drink it. Evening, come, take 0.5 ml, drink it. Does that change anything? Do I get healthy? That is why I'm saying they're shameless. For them to sit and talk.
But how has that got anything to do with production?
Let me bring you.
If you were producing 100 and I tell you that I'm giving you money to produce 1,000, you have increased your production, haven't I?
Pocho, Mamilande, team. I'm saying that in order for One District, One Factory to succeed, in order for you to be able to move us from that Gajisberg economy, which you had promised us, to what you were talking about, you would have to make sure by now we should have been seeing some major exchange. It is obvious as we're sitting here that if your export has been exceeded, if your imports has been exceeded by close to 4.5 billion, nothing has changed. And I'm telling you, in fact, it has gotten worse. Worse with your one district, one factory. It is supposed to solve a problem. If I go to the hospital and I'm giving medication, it's supposed to solve a problem. So if I'm taking the medication, it's not solving the problem. What is the use? So you're wasting our money. That's what you're telling us. You're telling us you're giving people monies, companies monies, to produce things that cannot be exported or to produce things that are not making any difference. And we're sitting here and we're talking about these losses and you're telling me it is work in progress. 7 years. How much time do you want? How much time does Ronaldo have? 8.
But it's work in progress.
NDC spent 8 years and they couldn't get a single functional factory for us.
He
spent 8 years.
Adele, relax.
Your so-called Commander Sugar Factory, were you able to produce even a cube of sugar before you left? You left at what? A white elephant. Nothing working. Absolutely nothing. We're just a PR gimmick. We've built a Commander Sugar Factory for government to take credit, when in actual fact, the company was redundant. There was nothing happening. You couldn't even produce a cube of sugar. And someone has recognized the problem, that of course, we are always importing more than we export. How do we turn around this phenomenon? We need to make sure that we have as many industries as possible. As to whether I promise to build factory in every town or village, the moment I came into power, I realized that yes, I need to rather partner certain people who are already struggling to make sure they are on their feet. And like you said, if we're employing 100 and I'm assisting you to employ 1,000, I'm not only making sure you are creating jobs, you are increasing your capability to produce. This deficit that we have, or the disparity we have regarding our exports and imports, further tells us that the call by the government to making sure that every district, or we have as many factories as possible across the country, was the right call. So government's commitment to making sure we are building factories, government's commitment to making sure that we are partnering individuals to have factories functioning was the right call. The economy has grown. The economy of today is not the economy of 8 years ago. So of course, the deficit or the amount you mentioned and the fact that things have gotten worse is rather because the economy has expanded. And there are more people consuming than we had yesterday. So the amount you are quoting today...
He's not the one quoting it.
The amount being quoted today that he claims is an indication that things are getting worse. It's rather an indication that the economy has expanded. And there is more economic activities going on. That's why people are able to import even to this tune. And government, once again, is committed to the one district, one factory. And that is the game changer to making sure that these things do not happen.
So we should still expect more one district,
government is still committed. The flagship programs of government, despite the economic difficulty, none, not even a single one, is on hold.
But you did make mention of the fact that when they were in power, they didn't have any factory to their name. Is that what you said? Any factory?
The only thing they told us they had done
was the
Commander Sugar Factory. We did not even see a cube of sugar being produced.
Okay.
That's the only thing they told us.
Okay. All right.
They didn't do any feasibility study. They just wanted to build something to, at least, like I said, PR gimmick, for people to know that, yeah, we are building. Because Akufo-Addo had hinted that I'm going to make sure every district has a factory. Okay. If we spent over 50 years and we were where we are before President Akufo-Addo noticed this problem and the government, MPP government, promised such solution, it tells us how deepened the problem is. And in solving a 50-plus old problem will not take a blink of an eye to solve it. Okay. So yes, government is committed, government is partnering individuals and institutions, and government is committed to making sure we have as many as possible factories on board to solve this problem. Okay.
Let's go to KSTU, that is Koforidua Secondary Technical, Kumasi Secondary Technical University, where we heard that 2,000 students had been sacked from school for owing of school fees. However, management have come out to debunk it. That's a report. Can you take a look at it?
Day of picketing by some students of the Kumasi Technical University to have management of the university rescind their decision of not allowing them to sit for the ongoing end-of-semester examinations. The students were asked to defer their courses following their inability to register their courses. While some of the affected students failed to raise their fees, others claimed they had challenges logging onto the registration portal.
After paying the fees, they said we should go and pay the penalty, which was 100 Ghana cedis. We went and paid the penalty, and then they said we should go to the IT and register. We went to the IT, they said they've closed registration, we can't register again. So we came to the registrar, and he was telling us there's nothing they can do about it. So we pleaded, and they said, okay, they are going to have a meeting. If they have the meeting, whatever be the case, Friday, they will communicate to us. On Friday, they came and they told us that they can't do anything about it. We should defer all our courses. But I mean, for instance, if they say I should defer my course, then they are indirectly sacking me from this book because I'm the one catering for myself, everything. My phone is here, I can show it to you. Sir. Weekends, I have to sell water and come and feed on myself on campus.
We're in pain right now. Some of us are in our final year, and some have already deferred their course, sit in the house for 1 year and came back. This is their final year for them to complete. Here's the case that they have to defer and go and stay in the house and come back again. It's very painful. Not like we are attacking them haphazardly. We are pleading that they should give us the chance.
Most of us, we paid our fees on time. Me, I have a lot of my receipts are there. My receipts are there. I pay them on time. So the challenge is about the network.
So you are blaming it on the technical issue?
Exactly, it's a technical issue that the university authorities should take into consideration. You can't just say that somebody did not register without even probing in further.
The students were originally due to complete their online course registration in May, but after several pleas, the university management agreed to extend the date. The decision consequently saw 4 registration deadline extensions. Joshua Apia is acting university relations officer.
The university was so compassionate, even left the registration open till the 7th of August. So after the 7th of August, they closed the portal that all non-registered students could not write the exams. Now, per the student handbook, they are supposed to withdraw from the system. But the academic board decided that now the economy is hard. So instead of them losing their money, let them defer, then come and continue with their money intact the next academic year.
Meanwhile, some students are contemplating abandoning school.
Well, maybe I will either stop the school and then focus on something else.
We have to look for some big officials in this country for them to plead on our behalf. But I think that if the management is not ready to listen to the students, they are not being fair to us.
So for the affected students of the Kumasi Technical University, they are only pleading with the university management to consider them to sit for this.
Well, Kumasi Technical University, some students, over 2,000 students allegedly have been sacked, but the management says that they haven't been sacked. Of course, some of them spoke about the fact that they've been denied access to writing their exams. But why do they wait till exams before they do this to them? Why can't you do it in the course of the semester? Why use exams to penalize them? Because if they don't write these exams, what it means is that they ought to resit, and so they have to probably pay twice or something. So why do we always wait till then? Adele, why?
Roslyn, these issues are things that keeps coming up every now and then. And it gets really, really worrying. You see, especially for this time, things are even tougher, very, very tough. And for the average student, it doesn't come any easy. The schools also need money in order for them to be able to move. But I think that to sack them or prevent them from writing exam is a problem. Mm-hmm. See, what you can do is that I know for certainty that when you complete any tertiary institution, not even only tertiary institution, when you even second cycle institutions, when you complete and you're going for your certification, you go through a certain process. You're supposed to check if you've taken any books from the library, if you have any arrears and all of that before they hand over your certificate. So I believe that some of these measures can actually be looked at, just so it doesn't prevent the students from having this kind of crisis. Now, having said that, we also have to admit that whether we like it or not, the schools would require money to be able to be operational. If they can't pay their electricity, if they can't pay management, if they can't do it, it is pretty much difficult. And for 2,000 students, it's quite alarming. Imagine if 2,000 students basically owe, a school. I mean, you can imagine the quantum of funds that are available. Be it as it may, I don't think this is the approach. I think that they could have found a better way of dealing with this, perhaps if they had found other ways of dealing with it. And I don't know why, so the whole loan system that we had, I don't know why some of the students are also not jumping onto the loan system, because it actually does help. You remember during our time, what we decided to do was that when we came up with a solution that we wanted to take away the nurses training allowance, it wasn't something that we wanted to just do for doing sake. The intentions was to take away the nurses training allowance and then give them an alternative. All other students are taking loans, so you too take the loan, so that the monies we're giving you as allowance, we can use that to build more hospitals, and then when you finish school, you can have access to hospitals to work. So at the end of the day, we'll give you access, get a loan, it is still for free. When you finish, we'll give you a job, because the monies we're giving you now, we're building hospitals with it. When we build the hospitals, you finish, you come and work, and then out of the salary we're giving you, pay off that loan. This was what we sought to do, and then it was back and forth. So if we can get a lot more people jumping onto the loan system, it would really help. But we must admit, these are tougher times, and in tough times, the schools would also have to try as much as possible, to be a bit sublime. It doesn't come easy. Students learn. Did you know that when you study, you have like 2 days to write your exam, 3 days, near postponing 1 week cry somehow.
Yeah.
Because within that 1 week period, you have to go back and relook at it and all that. So it's not a comfortable situation, but I think that we need to find a way to peg the interest of the students. But at the same time, you don't want the school to also collapse. So we have to look at, what the school requires to be able to be operational. If you kill the school, those students will not have exams to write.
Yeah.
At the same time, if you also do this to the students, you would have delayed their life and you'd have wasted their life for no reason. Like someone just said, he said, I don't think I would even continue at school again, out of frustrations. You don't want to do that. We want people in school. That's why we are doing free SHS. We want people in school. So let's do the school. Let's continue like that. But perhaps if government can come into it, and then see how we can, jaw, and then we pick it up from there.
Okay. Ezekiel.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate. Being in school, studying all semester or all year, and at the end of your semester, you are not able to write your exam. I quite remember a few of my mates back then in medical school faced similar fate, and it wasn't.
So you're a medical doctor?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was, okay. I didn't know it was medical.
It wasn't the best of situations then. So I sympathize and empathize with the affected students. But of course, as my brother has already alluded to, things are tough, well understood. At the same time, the schools need to run. And they run primarily based on these charges or fees students pay. It was quite alarming when the story first broke that the students were sacked. And I was asking myself, why would I be sacked for non-payment of school fees? And then the school has come back to clarify that they are not sacked, they are rather were prevented to write their exam. And they even gave some deadlines, because initially per what came out, they're supposed to, the deadline was 29th May, which the school extended to August. But students could not afford to pay their fees to get them enrolled on the exam. And university and tertiary education, the timetable is strictly adhered to. So anything that falls out of the domain becomes a problem. So I understand the challenges of the school. We can't give you so much time to say we are waiting for you to pay your fees for it to come and rise. The semester academic work needs to go on, because yes, there's a planned calendar for the school. So I understand why the school took that measure. But at the same time, being a youth and being a former student myself, if I went or suffered that fate, I think I would have been very much demoralized. So yes, we are happy the school has also instituted measures to making sure that those who have paid the fees, they'll have a specialized examination for them, to making sure that they write their exam. So it's a right call. The issue of sacking students or refusing people to take their exam for non-payment of fees, I think it's a call for all of us stakeholders to come together, for governments and its educational agencies to come together to find a way to addressing these issues. And of course, we need to also encourage students to take advantage of existing opportunities. Government has launched the non-guarantor loan system to making sure that students who are in school and are unable to fund their education primarily from their personal sources roll onto such programs to take loans that they will pay in the near future. Back then, yes, you needed someone to guarantee for you, and in case where you default payment, the person steps in to pay. And government has taken off that guarantor system.
Students should take
all you
advantage
need
of it.
is your Ghana card once again. Enroll on it. You don't need any guarantor. And when you are faced with such difficulty, the government has got you covered. Go and take the loan as a student and to repay later with just your Ghana card.
All right.
Once again, we empathize with the students.
All right, Ezekiel, let's go on social media and read some comments. So our very first comments, of course, Joy Prime, have you noticed the difference between DC and NPP? The guy in the studio is shouting as if he's fighting. The NPP man is very calm and delivering well. No amount of shouting will bring NDC to power. NDC never again. Nana Swedru, okay. Good morning. All NPP communicators are finding it difficult to defend their failed governance, so the NPP communicators are advised to interject or heckle their opponents on platforms so their opponents won't be able to outfact. This is now NPP new strategy of communication after they met the president at the Jubilee House a few weeks ago. Hey, are you sure? But Ghanaians are wise. They will not make a mistake in 2024. Hashtag JDM must win. Hashtag Abuba for Wale Wale, okay, Al Hassan Wuni, Wale Wale Nabulugo, right. Good morning, Joy Prime. I'm Dr. Sobolo Sefi Asareniso, okay. We always say when one government do uncompleted projects and another come on power, they need to complete the project because the project belongs to Ghana. So if this government is producing sugar in a factory, another government did, what is wrong with that? Ghana need a long-term plan and not what a particular government did. Thank you. All right. So thank you all who sent in your messages. I know Adele's had this. I don't have the time. I don't have the time.
Just let me mention 5.
Okay. Okay. So Adele wants to mention.
Let me mention 5. I'll mention. There's no time. No problem.
And John Dramani Mahama.
Let me just mention 5.
Okay.
Atuabo Gas.
Atuabo Gas. Okay.
It's $3 billion worth.
Okay.
You did it. You did it. Today your people are there. They are working. Okay. That's Atuabo. Elmina Fish Processing. Commander, you did it. You do build it.
Yeah, processing.
I'm bringing. Oh, no,
why? Ezekiel, you said they did.
You said you did. We didn't even do one. There's no time. Can
what's the name of the
we pay share. Oh, my brother.
So we actually, you sent us 50.
I sent you 50.
Okay. He sent us.
You understand what I'm saying?
50 factories. He said.
And those
okay,
needing
so
support.
let me quickly
some
mention
of them are even here.
Let me do it fast, okay? Commander Sugar Factory, Commander Edna, Ada Tomato Project, Jack Trope. Ada Agri Processing Limited, Tema, Avnash Industries Limited.
We supported. Avnash, we supported.
Green Book Factories.
Ayensu Starch Company Limited.
We supported.
Beteshi in Kwanta Road. Bipe Share Nut Factory. Bipe. Cocoa Totten Processing Company, Ghana, Free Zones Enclave, Dalo Enterprise, Takwa, D-Hawk Footwear Division Limited, formerly known as Kumasi Show Factory in Kumasi. So we mentioned 9. Okay.
And it's still operational, over 50.
All right, so we have a lot, but so we'll stick to this. And all right, thank you so much for being here, gentlemen. We are super grateful. And for you who sent in your messages as well, we are grateful. Please do send in your messages anytime that you are watching the show. We want to get as interactive as possible. This has been the News Flash segment. My guests have been Adele Umar Ibrahim, who represented the NDC. He is part of the communications team. And of course, Ezekiel Ejekum Obeng, a doctor. So Dr. Ezekiel Ejekum Obeng, represented at the NPP. Thank you for being here, gentlemen.